Hello and welcome to my Brownfield assignment. My name's Alex Hunt, and this is my assignment. I started off. I decided that I wanted to use all Windows machines in this task, so I just figured I'd try something new using exclusively Microsoft products just to see if I could actually manage to do that. Um, Point number two, the design brief says that scalability and reliability is addressed elsewhere, so this is all just purely focused on functionality and security, so it's not a very redundant design. As you can see here, VPN connection goes down, or this DC connection goes down, and the whole thing breaks. Or if a DC goes down, the whole thing breaks, so it's not exactly redundant, but it's functional. For my alternate service within AWS, I've decided to experiment with a multiplayer GameLift server. So GameLift is a multiplayer server hosting service that Amazon provides, and so you can do stuff there. You can adjust matchmaking rules and extra rules within the game. Match up players of different skills, and I'll go into that when I show it. But so yeah, that's just because I decided it was something I wanted to play with, and I thought that doing just a monitoring of when the service is up was a little bit too simple. So for this, all my instances are T2 micros other than my GameLift server, which is a T2 large, and that's just done to save money during the testing phase. If I wanted to actually deploy this thing, I'd probably use like way better processors. But they all work, and that's all that we need it to do. It's only a testing thing. I've chosen to migrate everything, so I mean the local connection at the moment is pretty much redundant. You don't really need it, but um, it's still there anyway. And I just done that because, my personal preference for cloud deployments is that if you can, to stick it all in the cloud, just because it saves a whole lot of hassle trying to run a split network if you want to ever do anything in the future. Like if you ever want to add a whole branch and you've got a split network that's some local, some cloud based, it's just a pain. It's so much easier if it's either one or the other. So I'm a big fan of going all the way, and of course it's not always possible, but like in this case, all the local stuff still works. It's still all there, but it's all more or less a backup. So if you really need it, you can locally access it. Otherwise, it's all in the cloud. So I've chosen to sort of lay out my network like this. So we have our local website host, which comes off our AD, and that's connected through a pfSense VM, VPN through to Amazon's AWS VPC. And then from there, we have a private subnet. So my migrated domain controller in AWS is on its own private subnet with only the VPC gateway there, and that's just to protect it. So the only way you're getting into it is from this VPN connection. And then from this DC, we have our public migrated website, and then our GameLift multiplayer server, and both of those are public facing off to the internet, and a public AWS, and then this whole thing is within a single VPC in Sydney. Of course, making it redundant, you'd have at least two VPCs, and probably at least duplicate the DC in the cloud. However, that's not part of the thing. So let's get into it, I suppose. So yeah, this is in 3D. So you want to look at it in 3D. So we have here our VPC. That's it there. This is a nice separate VPC. So if we go down to VPN connections, here's our VPN tunnel with our local AD. As you can see here, it's up, and I will launch our remote desktop. Log in. So due to the way that this network's set up, if I want to alter the website, I've got a remote desktop from I have to remote desktop from this local AD into this AD, or from any host into this AD. But the way I've set it up, you've got to do it from this local one so that it uses our secure VPN, and then from this remote desktop here, remote desktop into the public website in order to change things. And that way anyone else who's coming into this website will just see the website, and you don't have to worry about other people editing your website. So this is my local domain controller. It has domain controller features. If I go to server manager, set up as an AD, and then that's replicated through to the cloud. If it's going to load, yes, here we go. So it's my AD and DNS for Dodgytech.net, and that's it all there. And if I open the browser, and so this is our pfSense router that is creating our secure VPN. They got tunnel 1, tunnel 2, version 1 authentication, version 2 authentication. Go in here and have a quick look, and it all works out. And then there's phase 2. There's our phase 2 settings, and pretty much identical on the second tunnel, other than it's just a change of on the phase 1 of the network, because it's just 2 separate addresses. And tunnel 1 and tunnel 2, and they both connect to the same 10/16 on Amazon AWS. And if I go to Amazon here, they're up as well on this end as well as on the other end. So now that we've established our VPN connection, we can remote desktop into the other computers. So the 10.0.1.202 is my domain controller replicated in the cloud. So I'll just minimize that one for now. I open up Server Manager. As you can see here, it's been replicated as an AD in our Dodgytech.net domain, and so this now works by itself. I haven't done DNS in here because I'm using Route 53 for the DNS resolution for the website. So then we go to edit our static website that we've migrated from this machine here. So here's our static website, and if we open that, you can see I've just taken a template and stuck Dodgytech in it. Can't be bothered making an HTML. So I've taken this here and I've migrated it. So we go from our local AD to the 202, which is our AWS AD, and from there we go to the Windows machine that I have where it's hosting the actual website. And here it is here. So everything's all hosted on this machine. And it's all been transferred, and it all transfers nicely. It's all the same. And then if I minimize VMware Workstation and leave my remote desktop, we can go to our Dodgytech.net Route 53, and here it is here. This is my home PC. I'm remoting in from home to S267, which is why it's a remote desktop with VLANs inside a remote desktop with a remote desktop inside a remote desktop. And here's my pfSense machine. As you see here, successful login from our Active Directory controller. And so we have our two instances here. So this one here is my domain controller, and then this one here is my public facing website. And then if we go to here, we have our my Brownfeilds server. So this is a fleet, they call them. So this here is my server for my sample game server that I've made. And so you can do stuff here, so you can change your matchmaking rule sets. So I have a fairly basic one here. So they use JSON for this. And so here this is making two teams, aliens versus cowboys. Balances the player counts between 4 and 8. So you get evenly balanced teams. And then here we have some matchmaking rule sets where you're up here. We create some variables. Down here I put the description of what they are. So it's a average skill of the player. This is just all to do with taking your players, scoring them on how well they perform on the server, and so you don't end up with people who are really good versus people who are really bad. And you'll also only be able to actually play a game if you've got the appropriate numbers of people. So you can't just have, like, I suppose, if I wanted to, I could make it a 1v1, but for sake of this, I've just done 4 to 8 players. And see here is just, if it's not a fair team, it just doesn't launch a game. And it'll just wait until it finds the correct players. And this is just a JSON script. You can change this how you like. All you got to do is, just, as you see, click here, clone it, and you're pretty much done. So now I've shown you the rule set. I'll actually launch the server and show you the actual game. So you have the session token here. Let me just grab that. That's the public address of the web server. So you give each player a session token, and you can simplify this process, but it's a little complicated, so I didn't really get into it as much as I would have liked to. But we'll have to generate a new one because they expire after a certain period of time. So let's go down here. Enter our token, connect, and here we go. We have our little soccer game. And at the moment there's only me, but if you wanted to, you can put in multiple people. A little droid. And score a goal. Do whatever, host your multiplayer server on here. Of course, this is all just a simple client. For testing purposes, it's not really a full game, but It's more on the actual multiplayer capabilities of the server. And yeah, so I can't think of anything else. I've still got I got a $300 bonus from Amazon, so I can leave this running for however long you want if you want me to ask or show you anything. So I'll leave this running for I don't know, a month or so, and then I'll shut it all down. But let me know if you need anything else. And thanks for teaching us this year. It's been a great dive into sort of new stuff that I haven't really played with. And as a networking guy, of course, this is a bit more. I quite like playing around with all this stuff. And I haven't really, you don't really touch it with Cisco. So it's been quite good to play with Amazon's AWS stuff and learn how it's all done, at least cloud side. So it gives me a bit of experience both ways. But yeah, I'll see you later.